Hi everyone, I am Jeff Lawton. I'm going to look at a game from yesterday's chess24 Banter Blitz with the world champion himself, Magnus Carlsen. And he's got the white pieces against a young Norwegian IM, Tor Frederik Kaasen. And Carlsen opened with e4, it's a 3-minute game, c5, knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3 and a6. So we've got Sicilian Najdorf variation, and now a3, which sort of one of Magnus's sort of pet lines at the moment. It seems he played it against Cheparinov in the Banter Blitz Cup, and he's also played it over the board in classical chess. I think it was classical against Wojciech of Poland, and I think he won that game. So e5, following both those games, knight f5, d5, bishop to g5, so this is the theory of the line, d4, bishop captures, g captures, and now knight e2. Queen b6 hitting the b pawn, so protected that with rook b1, and then knight c6, so Cheparinov played this a few days ago against Magnus, maybe a week ago by now. But knight c6 was Carlsen's move. Knight e to g3, so the knight's active here. And we'll see it go to h5 in a bit. So bishop e6 taking this good diagonal. Bishop to d3, sort of completing minor piece development. And now bishop a2, which Carlsen, of course, he's one of the things about the Banter Blitz is the players commentate while they're making moves, which is amazing in itself. That can't be easy to do. And Magnus already said that if his opponent was going to play this, then he would consider castling or the move he played, which was knight h5, hitting the on-pre pawn on f6. So knight f6 to protect it with the queen. And now rook hit the bishop, which can't retreat to e6 because now the pawn can now be captured. And queen b2 is the same thing. If we take here, then again we can capture there. So that left knight f5 really. And now rook a2, which Carlsen assessed as good for white. He's got the better pawn structure, and now he's removed the better of the two black bishops as well. So the opposite colour bishops should favour white here. So knight g7, deciding to immediately challenge the knight on h5. Castles from Carlsen, and now rook c8, which if Magnus had thought for 2 seconds, I think he would have played queen g4 first with double attack against the rook on c8 and the knight on g7, and that would force the reply knight here when he can then take here. So he'd seen that line, but he played his moves in the wrong order. He played knight g7 first, bishop g7, and now queen g4. And as he was saying at the time, he just thought he was winning a piece, did Magnus, and as he freely admitted, he missed castles. So the king guards the bishop and the rook guards the other rook. It's amazing that we've got a world champion who seems to freely admit such mistakes, that maybe in a blitz game you can't do much else, I'm not sure. So anyway, he carried on, annoyed with himself that he'd missed this. He played g3, queen e6, queen e6, fe6, a4. So we've now got an interesting opposite bishop ending, and straight away Carlsen is deciding to open up some play on the queen side. So it's very instructive, in my view, this endgame, to see how he first opens up the queen side and then distracts his opponent on that side, and then he starts playing over on the king side. So we had king f7, a5, king e7, and then b4. Rook to c3, b5, a takes b5, and now rook b1, rook a8, rook takes b5. So now white's got the b line to put pressure on the b7 pawn, and this pawn sort of ties black down more than this one is tying white down. At the same time, the bishop hopes to gain activity and also plan to bring the king in here. So rook a7, protecting the weakness, doubles rooks against the weakness, and now rook back to defend it. And now this instructive moment again of advancing the king, intending to come into the h5 square. Bishop f8. So black's obviously on the defensive. King f3, king d8, king g4, bishop d6, king h5, king e7, king h6, and now bishop a3. So the intention is to try and go bishop to c1 if he's allowed to, or perhaps to go king f8 first. But rook b1 was played, and now king f7, so h4, so increasing his grip on the dark squares, I guess, and hoping to use the h-pawn later. So bishop check, and now king h5. It's like, I mean, Carlsen played king h5 immediately, but his intuition was very impressive because without calculation, he just said this looked like it could well lead to trouble. And if you sort of confirm this with the engine, it's indeed is the case, because black would be able to play this. So this is an analysis line. It didn't happen, by the way. And then if for example, ef5, then there's the king discovered check from the rook. And now the king has to go forwards. So you go to h8, then we've got check, king h7, and then rook a8. No matter what you do, there's rook h8, for example, fe6. Rook h8 would be mate. And if instead of king h8, if you try king to g8, and again it's something very similar, rook g7, which we can't take because of mate straight away. And if king h8, then we can now play, well, you can play this way if you want to with rook a8, and after rook b7, we can play sort of nice move, rook b4, bishop to b4, sorry, breaking the coordination of the rooks, and then rook b8 only move, and checkmate. So Carlsen's intuition did not desert him there. So he played king h5, bishop g7, and now rook to b6, bishop f8, and rook 1 to b5, bishop to c5, and now g4. So at the moment this doesn't really threaten the rook because this forks the two black rooks. So there's no way for black to exploit this. You can't play his rook back because that would drop that one, and you can't go this way because then you're dropping, to try and threaten bishop takes rook, I mean, because then this is on pre. So Carlsen played rook takes a5. Now white gains the b7 pawn, rook a7, rook takes a7, bishop takes a7, and now g5. So all of Carlsen's moves, they sort of have a purpose. The king's advanced first to this square, then came h4, and then came g4, and now he's playing g5 in order to sort of weaken black's king side. And he can't, again, we're saying can't play f5 because just simply capture this twice, and then white wins a pawn, and eventually that will be too much combined with all these well-placed pieces on the king's side. So he played bishop to c5, now king h6, bishop f8, but now this time, as Carlsen said, he can take here because there's no mating net now that one pair of rooks has been removed. fg5, hg5, and now king e8. check, and now king to g6. So now this is very, very hard for black to defend. It's, objectively, it's going to be losing. There's a weak pawn here. There's one here, and at some point the bishop's going to enter the game, and the black-white king is way more effective than black's king. So king e7, rook b8, rook a7, king to h7, making way for the g pawn, or well, actually, I suppose it's just threatening king g8 at the moment, and then the bishop can't be saved. So rook a1, king to g8, rook here, hoping for the blunder rook f8 when he gets the rook himself, so white can't do that. But instead he played rook b7 check, and after king d8, king f8, he resigned the game. If you played king e8, of course, I suppose you can just play check first and force the king away, and then take the bishop. So a really instructive game, which I certainly enjoyed watching. I learned a lot from it. I hope you did too. It was interesting how after the game, Carlsen said he thought it had many instructive moments. First, he sort of opened up the queen side in the endgame to make black defend over there, and then when he was distracted over there, then he started play on the other flank, and it gradually proved too much. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please thumbs up or subscribe. That would be brilliant. Thank you. Bye now.